Hi, this is Ned Siegfried from Siegfried and Jensen. As proud sponsors of BeliefCast, we hope you are inspired by Todd's weekly podcasts, which contain so many courageous stories of recovery and personal growth. Remember, it's not what happened in the past that matters, it's what happens in the future. We invite you all to work hard and be optimistic about your future. Enjoy today's podcast.
Sabby, thank you for being on the show again. Thank you for doing this for me.
Todd, I'm so excited. I'll sit down with you any day.
Well, I'll have you on again then. No,
Perfect.
No, I appreciate that, and I appreciate all that you do. And you were on my podcast before, and I loved what you had to say. So many people commented on it, and so again, I really do admire the way you carry yourself, and that's why I wanted you back on. So,
well, thank you. I admire you, and I'm so excited to be a part of what you're doing.
Thank you. So, and I want to welcome everyone who's watching this and listening to this. Thank you for joining in, and thank you for believing in me. This podcast, which I call BeliefCast, is trending, and we're ranked in the top 100 in mental health, which just blows my mind, but it's because of you, and I just have so much gratitude for all your support, and it really is because I bring amazing guests on, and we have Jardine, who I've known for a long time now. She is a host and producer at Good Things Utah. And if you guys haven't seen that show, you should. It's amazing. And I'm lucky enough to be a guest, and I get to be a little more often on, I guess, is what I'd say it over the next year, which I'm so excited.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you join us. I mean, you're doing so much good, and so we love to share good at Good Things Utah, and so we're excited to have you be part of it.
No, thank you. And so you're married, and your husband's been on my podcast as well, he's an amazing guy. You guys both are
I think so too.
I'm sure you do. So why don't we just tell us a little bit about, our listeners who may not know too much about you, about where did you grow up and a little bit about your childhood?
Yeah. So I'm from a really small town. It's called Aurora, Utah. Most people think Aurora, Colorado when I say that. Right. It's kind of almost to St. George. It's a really tiny town. There's actually more cows than people there. And so I enjoyed growing up there. Small town community, and everybody, and people really do take care of each other. I'm the oldest in my family, in a blended family. And I kind of was involved in a lot of things as a kid, dabbled in a lot of different things, but got involved in the Miss America organization as a teenager. I was a college cheerleader and ended up cheering at UVU for 4 years, where I met my husband. I graduated in communication studies, and then we went on an adventure to Hawaii. I supported my husband while he played college basketball and got his master's degree in finance. We were there during 2020, COVID. It was difficult and beautiful all at the same time. I learned so much. And upon coming back, I got my dream job at Good Things Utah, and I've learned so much. I'm a producer, and now I'm hosting. Yeah, that's awesome. And it's been really amazing to be able to connect with the people in our state, and just be inspired every single day by what people are doing in their communities. Yeah,
well, you do a great job as host. I want you to know that.
Thank you.
I know that didn't start out that way. You weren't the host, but now you are. And congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And, you have lived an adventurous life, the Hawaii thing, being quarantined and all that. I mean, we talked about that on the first podcast, what you went through. And that was amazing that you made it through all that.
Well, believe it or not, it was difficult living in Hawaii.
Yeah, I know. You wouldn't think so.
Right. Yeah. And just personally for me at that time in my life. But I'm so grateful for challenges because they help us grow. Yeah. And I look back on that whole experience with a whole lot of love for myself, because I just became better. And I think that's part of the story and part of the journey is going through hard things, and they really do shape you and help you connect with others.
Yeah. So talking about struggles and things like that, I mean, I think if people, from a distance look at you and they go, man, she's so confident, she's so positive. Have you always been like that? Were you like that even when you were younger?
I think it's kind of difficult. Sometimes you have to walk alone to kind of create your own path. And growing up in a small town, I did kind of experience that, and I felt like I was kind of involved in different things than my peers. Getting involved in the Miss America organization as a teenager, I was kind of doing different things. I was getting involved in serving, and I was doing events throughout not only just my little community, but the entire state. And so sometimes it was lonely, and I didn't exactly, hang out with my friends and kind of have that sense of community. And so I think that I had to kind of grow that confidence from within myself.
You're right.
And I am actually really grateful for kind of having to walk that path alone, because I really did discover who I am. And I kind of didn't have those outside pressures because I was so focused on what I was doing.
Yeah.
And that really helped me, grow into myself. And then especially just going through challenges, I think really grows your confidence. That sounds silly because you are humbled a lot of the times.
Yeah.
But as you accomplish things and you go through hard things, little by little, you start to feel more confident in yourself that I am strong.
Yeah.
You may not believe it at the beginning, but as you start to have those little wins and those little accomplishments, and especially as you take time to reflect on the things that you've been through and have a little bit more perspective of why you went through those things, you get a little more confident and you say, I'm grateful that happened, and I like who I am now.
Right. Yeah.
And
Sure.
so I think the biggest thing when it comes to confidence is we think that it has to happen overnight.
Yeah.
But for me, I think it is a process and a journey of learning and becoming and, taking time to see the growth.
Right.
And that's what makes you confident.
Gosh, I love that. You've been involved in a lot of pageants growing up. That's a very vulnerable thing to do, like to put yourself out there in front of people and everyone's kind of critiquing you and
It's
judging
true.
you and, of all these things. How did that play a part, and how did you get through some of maybe the fear that you had doing those things?
Yeah, and it's so interesting because people have different opinions about pageants when they hear the word pageant,
Yeah.
and especially, my husband being new to the community, he was kind of like, oh my gosh, like there's judges and it's all up to the judges at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And to me, that I never felt that way.
Really?
Because it was so much about my personal growth. And I'm so grateful that I had parents that instilled that in me and mentors that instilled that in me, that I was only competing against myself. And it was about growing and becoming the best version of me and being proud of what I put out there. And I believe, it sounds cliche, but you're a winner if you're proud of yourself at the end of the day and what you put out there. And then through that, I just gained so many valuable skills at such a young age. Being able to speak in front of people is really scary.
Oh, yeah.
And to be able to form your ideas and kind of stand up for what you believe in is a big deal.
Yeah.
And also just being focused on others and serving when you're a teenager. That's kind of unheard of, especially in today's day,
for
and I just think there's no better thing to be a part of and to kind of help you through your own challenges than focusing on others and what you can do. And so I'm so grateful for that in my life. And I do think that helped me grow my confidence as well. Just, when you work hard for something, you are in turn very confident in yourself because you did it.
Yeah, I love that. Very well said. I'm a counselor in a treatment center, and I'll tell all the clients who come there, if you put in the work, you'll not only get what you want out of this, you'll actually end up loving it, right? And they will feel confident.
Yeah.
Those who don't put in the work, I can promise you, you're not going to like it,
Yep.
and you're probably not going to make it where you want to, and your confidence won't be there. So
Exactly.
I really appreciate what you said there. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you, again, like I said, the way you carry yourself is very inspiring.
Thank you.
You're really big on identity of, how we see ourselves in a positive light. Talk a little bit about why that's so important, knowing who we are kind of thing, like you keep talking about. Why is that so important? And how would someone listening to you who doesn't know who they are, how would they figure that out? Like, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, first of all, that it's totally normal. We all, we are born and we have so many great qualities about ourselves, but we do forget. And growing up, we have certain experiences that are difficult, and that's part of it. And so kind of losing sight of that and not really knowing who you are is part of the journey of, and I think it's a beautiful part of the journey to kind of go through those challenges and maybe ask yourself, like, who am I?
Yeah.
But where you come back to and kind of the decisions that you make after maybe having those struggles, I think is the most defining and important part of the journey.
Yeah.
And I think really being able to give yourself grace, and that's why I say it's okay. It's okay to have those struggles because we all do. And realizing that, starting there, that I don't have to be perfect.
Right. Yeah.
And, I'm going to start with giving myself grace and then realizing some of the things that I do excel in. and the ways that I am kind of great. And,
Yeah.
and, you know, and
Yeah.
sometimes you do have to kind of hit rock bottom or make mistakes to kind of realize like, I can rebuild and I can do these things. And so knowing who you are at the end of the day is knowing that you're strong and knowing that you're capable.
Yeah.
And knowing that, you know, there's hope and that you can change and that you can grow. And I think that's so empowering.
Yeah.
And knowing that there's something way bigger. I mean, I believe that there's a way bigger plan than just us here struggling for no reason.
Right.
You know, I do believe that there's a God who loves us and who put us here for a reason. And he, you know, believes that we have infinite potential.
Yeah.
And I think that it's our journey to discover that while we're here. And I think in moments of quiet, I think the world can get so chaotic and loud, and there can be so many pressures, heavy pressures to be and do and just be certain things. And I think in the quiet, when you can slow down, you start to feel that you're okay.
Yeah.
And that you're loved. And I think that taking that time to kind of slow down is really important to kind of reconnect to really who you are.
Yeah, I love that. There's a scripture in Psalms 46:10 that says, "Be still and know that I am God." And if you cross-reference still in the footnote, it says silence.
Yeah.
And I like what you said. Sometimes we do have to put ourselves in a position where we, you know, drown out the noise that's going on, because I think that's what causes us to suffer and even maybe forget or not even know who we are.
Yeah.
So very well said. So is there certain things that you do in a day that kind of helps remind you of who you are, and maybe in moments where you're maybe struggling or having a rough day?
Yeah. I mean, there are things that I just love, like that really just bring me joy.
Yeah.
And I was having a conversation with my sister this week, and I asked her, what do you love? Like, what helps you connect to yourself and to God and just the world? And every day I love the sunshine. I always I try to be aware of feeling the sunshine on my skin, because that's such a blessing and such a simple gift that we have almost every day. Hopefully the sun's shining.
We've had a lot of snow lately.
Right.
So right?
That's true. Well, and just taking a moment in the morning, I love breakfast. Like, I love to eat breakfast, and it's kind of just taking it back to those simple things that, like, I find a lot of joy in making myself a good breakfast and taking care of myself, you know, and I think just taking time to, one of my intentions this year is to serve. And that's a way that really just helps me kind of cope with even things that I'm struggling with, because service too is just sitting with someone in their struggle.
Yeah.
And that helps both people to just kind of be there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of my goals, is that every day, you know, try to look for a way to intentionally serve. And I think it's so powerful for not only, you know, the person that you're serving, but for yourself to, you know, realize that there are more people than just you who are going through things.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take away from your struggle to, you know, care about somebody else's. And in fact, it brings you more meaning and connection. And I think that we believe that we can get through things better when we have someone else with us.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. So when you got asked to be a host, what was that first time like being a host? I mean, because you got all these cameras on you, it's live. Yeah. You know, how was that, and were you able? How did you get through that? Maybe feeling a little scared or fearful about it.
Right. Well, you know, and it's interesting because I started as a producer, and the producing was kind of the thing that I was more nervous for.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because I mean, growing up doing pageants and cheerleading, I love being in front of people, and that is actually kind of more my comfort zone. And so learning all the behind the scenes was really helpful for me. And I faced a lot of fears just going through, you know, making sure all the boxes were checked, that everything was in place. And that I had, you know, I mean, there's so much to creating a show like that. I mean, 2 hours, and it's every second that you're planning out and making sure that it all runs smoothly. And so I'm grateful to have learned the behind the scenes and kind of faced my fears that way of doing something that was totally new and totally out of my comfort zone. And then being on air was so surreal, because I look up to these women, and I've looked up to them my whole life, you know, and I mean, they're so experienced, and I've learned one thing about myself, some people need to kind of focus harder if they're going to be in a position where they're nervous.
Yeah.
And some people kind of need to be aware of what they're doing. And for me, I overthink things so much.
Right.
And so one thing that I've learned, even through cheerleading and performing and various speaking events, is that I kind of work myself up if I think about it too much.
Yeah.
And if I kind of take myself down to just being me, I do a lot better. And so actually, I feel like I kind of try to play it cool and fake it until I make it a little bit, and allow myself to learn. I think that was something that I really needed to go through. And I shared when I moved to Hawaii, and just realizing that you don't need to be perfect, to give yourself a lot more grace than you give yourself, and realize that, your self-talk when you are, communicator in a situation where you're trying something new, there's going to be little bumps and things that are uncomfortable. And what you say to yourself right after is really important. Whether you are saying like, I shouldn't be here, or I made that mistake, or I'm not worthy, or you can say it's okay. I'm learning.
Sure.
And that's been a really good antidote for me, in being in moments of being out of my comfort zone and trying something new, is I'm learning. Yeah. And it's just all about the way you frame things too, because it can be, I made a mistake, or you can have done the same thing, but you can say, I made a mistake, or you can say I'm learning. Right. And it really is something you have to practice. And I really had to relearn. Because I've developed negative patterns and habits in my life, and it really does take a conscious effort to retrain your brain to say something different. To yourself, because you live with you're the number one person who lives with yourself 24/7. And if you're being mean to yourself in your head, it can be a really unhappy place.
Yeah, very well said. I think the most powerful force in the human psyche, which is our mind, spirit, and soul, is the story we tell ourselves about ourselves. Yep. And that's really ultimately what you're saying, is you're changing the narrative in the moment when you need to. And I think we all struggle with that on some level, right? We have something negative going on, and realizing that's not me, that thought. I don't have to accept that, and I can change it in the moment. So I think that's really powerful.
And I love what you said. You can change.
Yes.
Because sometimes when we're listening to anxiety or anxious thoughts, we feel like this is all I am ever going to be, or I struggle with this too much, or this is who I am. Yeah. And I've really been empowered by the thought that we can change. Yeah. We have all the tools and resources to be able to change, and we'll make mistakes over and over and over again, but just holding on to that hope and that belief that we can change is really important.
I love that. I know faith is a big thing for you and your husband. I mean, I loved how bold he was on his podcast with me. It was really cool. And I know it means a lot to both of you, honestly. Talk about, why is that so important to you? Why is, having a faith in a higher power, for those who may not believe in God, but I know you believe in God. Yeah. Why is that so important for you?
I mean, life is so beautiful, but it is so hard. And I just can't fathom the fact that it would just be for nothing, that we're just here and there's no reason. Yeah. Right. And I've just had so many moments in my life where it hasn't been a coincidence. It's been by divine design. And I'm really grateful for that knowledge. And I was raised with the knowledge of God and, who I am as a daughter of God, and and kind of the purpose. Yeah. But I just think that there's something so much bigger than ourselves. And I feel that so often in my heart. And we need each other. We're all here and we're all learning. And if I have a purpose, you have a purpose, and we all do. And we're here to help each other learn and to grow. And I'm so grateful for the knowledge that I have of a God, and then of a Savior who came and really did feel what I have felt, and who lifts me. And everything that I believe in, that I share, is because there's somebody who taught me, and because, I can be forgiven, and there's hope. And I really do believe that Jesus is all things good. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for that, because I can't imagine going through the struggles of life and not having light and not having hope and peace, because I mean, like I said, it's just, I mean, sometimes it can feel so overwhelming and heavy. And that truly is my lifeline. And how I get through hard things is knowing that, you know, there's a purpose and that there is light and there's hope and peace and growing and forgiveness through all of it.
Yeah. Powerful words. Thank you. So what gets you out of bed in the morning? What ignites you? Like, you know, you're a very passionate, positive person. Like, what is it? What is it that gets you out of bed to get up and do what you do?
You know, I do like mornings, but even I sometimes, I mean, I feel like this week I've been like waking up late every morning. But I really love people and I love connection. And I mean, on Good Things Utah, we just hear people who have started businesses or their stories or their, you know, they're sharing their cooking talents in the kitchen. But what I see is people who take things that happen in their life and they just keep going and they try their best, and they, you know, how they overcome challenges and what they do with it and how they work to inspire others inspires me. And I think it's so important to share your light and share your gifts and share your talents, because like I said, we all need each other. And in sharing, we really do help and lift and inspire each other. And going along with that, being vulnerable enough to show up in your real, authentic self that is unperfect. Right. You know, and some people may think that to be on TV, you need to be perfect. And I just don't think that is true. You know, I mean, people are at home are watching and they don't want to see perfect. They want to see real. And we're all, and it's hard to remember that sometimes, you know, when we're looking on the TV and maybe placing different judgments. But we're all people and we're all in it. And I love to hear the stories and the people, and in the mix of all of the, you know, the businesses and the stories and the products and all of these things, there are human beings who have just made really cool decisions. And, you know, whether it's bouncing back from a, you know, a challenge or a setback, they've made a decision to do what they can. And that honestly, I feel like I can keep going every day. And I look forward to waking up and going to my job, or whether, even if the job changes, I mean, there's just people all around us that we have no idea their stories and what it took for them to get up that day, you know, and what they've been through. And so I'm just really inspired by people. Yeah,
I love that. You know, I think having a purpose is very important, and knowing that that's what gets you going. I think that's fantastic. I think a lot of people do struggle with that. You know, if there's someone right now listening to you and, you know, they're not quite sure where they're at and maybe they're struggling, you know, you've already shared some really good things, but that one person right now who's struggling, who needs to hear something, what would you tell them?
I would say that you are loved. And if you don't feel loved, try to just take one little step and love yourself. Maybe do one thing a day to show yourself a little bit of love. Because like I said, the world can be hard and people can be hard. And even we can be so hard on ourselves. And it is, I do think it's a act of faith to love yourself, because we don't feel that way sometimes. Whether we've made mistakes or, you know, we're going through some really hard challenges, I think show a little bit of love to yourself, because really, I mean, it sounds so cliche, but that's what we need in the world. We really do need love. And if we don't know how to show ourselves love, it makes it really hard to connect with anything and anyone else in your life. And so I would say just do one thing that makes you happy, or, you know, try to recognize one little blessing. Maybe if it's just the sunshine, you know, or the beauty of the snow coming down, or the rain, you know, if it's not sunshiny, but there really is, beauty even in the struggle. And we don't see that a lot of times. And so I would also say just try to have perspective, knowing that it's just a small moment. I love the scripture in D&C that it says, my peace be unto you, for thy adversity is but a small moment. Because I think perspective does a lot for us in our life, to realize that, you know, even if it might take a while for them to get better, you're going to grow. And you're going to learn, and who you are in a couple of months or a year is going to be better than, you know, the person you were a year before. And so I would say just try to have perspective and show yourself a little bit of love along the way.
Yeah, very well said. Love that. What do you love most about your life?
That is an interesting question.
Yeah, that's a big one, I know.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot, I'm sure. But
yeah, I mean, I just feel so blessed. And honestly, I mean, and I haven't gone through really, really tough challenges. I mean, to me, I guess they were, but in the grand scheme, I really do feel like I am pretty blessed. And right now, I am grateful for the challenges to show me the good times. Because, and I never really understood, you know, a lot of people will talk about, you know, you have to go through the bad to understand the good or to be grateful for the good. Yeah. And I never really understood why until, I mean, when I was on the podcast the last time, I kind of talked about the challenge of that I faced when living in Hawaii. Not because I was living in Hawaii, but what I was personally going through in that time of life. And, you know, in the moment it was so confusing and there were so many difficult things. And I was at a time where I was asking myself, who am I? And what am I supposed to do? And you know, I going through that and now kind of living in a moment of time that's kind of simple, and I am blessed, and I'm not going through something really difficult in the moment. You know, I just feel blessed every single day that, you know, I have a roof over my head. I mean, and even further, me and my husband just bought our first home, and we're really happy. And I have a relationship with my husband that we're learning together. And we're working on being okay and being imperfect. And, you know, just that I'm happy and I take care of myself. And I just think there's so much good, and I feel so blessed.
Yeah. Thank you. I know that, you know, your husband also talked about, you know, how you guys are really working hard on your relationships and stuff. And I think that's important for people to know that, you know, you guys are in love, you guys have a great thing, but it still takes work. And I think sometimes we forget that we have to work for these things. We can't get complacent. There's things that we got to keep pushing forward on. And sometimes that can feel a little overwhelming. But I think it's neat that you guys recognize that, and you guys are doing the things you need to improve and be better. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it can feel so isolating. Especially when it comes to, you know, a marriage. Like if you feel like you can't reach out for help, or that it's not okay to have hard days, I think that can be really hard and make you feel really isolated and alone. And so we just hope to use our voice to share that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to admit that you're imperfect or that you have hard days, and also be really happy in your relationship and have really great days too, you know. But I think that it's so important to realize that we're always learning and growing. And I am so empowered by that thought that, I mean, even what I feel now so empowered about, in a couple months, in a year, I'll feel even stronger about something else, and maybe I'll pivot and I'll feel, I'll learn something new, you know. But we really love to share that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to go to therapy. It's great to go to therapy. We have resources to rely on. People who love you too. I mean, to have a community who's rooting for you. There's two sides to every story. And just like you said, you know, the story we tell ourselves. And so it's really important to surround yourself by people who care about you and who are rooting for you and who, you know, want you to succeed and want you and a couple to succeed. And so we really are focusing on the unit that we're building, and it's just the two of us in our little family right now. But we want to build that strong foundation, you know, to have a family and raise kids in this crazy world. And we can't do that alone. So we ask for help and we work on it.
I love it. Great advice. Great. Always visiting with you. Thank you coming on the show and sharing your insights and I love how you talk about your faith and you know, the way you carry yourself, the confidence that you have. I'm grateful to be a guest on your show from time to time. That means a lot to me. I hope you know that. Like, it really does. I really do appreciate it, because I've had so many people reach out to me who are struggling with their mental health because they saw this segment. So I just want you to know, thank you for the opportunities and just anyway, everything that you're doing to make this world a better place. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I mean, I am 1000% behind people doing good things and sharing and uplifting people and helping them believe that they can do it. And I'm so excited to see your app, to have that a part of our everyday life, to kind of, have a little positive reminders and things. Sure. So I love what you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks for being on the show again. I'm so excited. For those who haven't maybe seen her first episode, it was episode 254. And if you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it. She talks about a really tough experience in Hawaii that she went through, and it was really vulnerable for her to share that. But please reach out to her. You can check her out on Good Things Utah, obviously. Her Instagram is, correct me if I'm wrong, savvy_Jardine.
Yep.
And that's Jardine.
Correct.
Did I spell that right?
Yep.
I need my glasses to see that. But again, thanks everyone for tuning in. This app's going to be amazing. This will also be on the podcast as well. So a lot of people are going to hear and see this and watch this. So again, Savvy, thanks for all you do.
Of course.
Take care. Love you guys.